So a few weeks ago, I did a video answering the question on whether you should be investing or paying off debt. But what if you're not really in that situation? What if you don't actually have a lot of debt? And what if you're now questioning whether you should be saving money or investing your money? Well, you guys will know Auntie V is always here for you. So I'm going to be answering that very question in this video. So I'm going to be outlining when I think you should be saving money, investing money, or if there's a time to even do both. Okay, Bronya, can I just double check first? What exactly is the difference between saving and investing? So a lot of you guys will know that I like to go back to the basics first. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Google definition and then I am going to just explain it in my own words. So rather than going to the trusted Wikipedia, I decided to go on a different website this time, and I've actually looked at moneyadviceservice.org.uk website. Now, what I've basically tried to Google is the difference between saving and investing rather than just looking at the definitions of both. So what it basically says is saving is putting money aside bit by bit. That is basically it. Whereas with investing, it's taking some of your money and trying to make it grow by buying things you think will increase in value. For example, you might invest in stocks, property, or shares in the fund. So for me, I think that's pretty much self-explanatory and I'm happy with that. So in simple terms, when I'm thinking about saving money, I'm not really expecting a return, okay? I'm just looking to put money aside day by day or by the month, and then that's it. Whereas with investing, I'm expecting my money to work for me. So I'm actually putting my money to work rather than just leaving it on the side, if that makes sense. Okay, so how am I supposed to know which one to do first? So for me, it's not really about what you need to start doing first or which one is a priority. It's really about your goals and what you're planning to do with that money. So when I think about saving money, there are sort of two main aspects where I look at it. So the first one is if it's something relatively short term. So for example, I might be saving for a wedding, a car, or a house, or even a holiday. And then the other aspect is more so treating it as insurance. So for example, I might be saving up for an emergency fund. Now, the reason why I say saving money is more likely to be for the short term or insurance is because really you want that money to be quite liquid. Ideally, you would just want it in cash, because if you need to use it very quickly, you can just take it out. So usually you might save money at a bank, for example, and then you'll just have a savings account and then just add in your savings there. Right, so how much do we need for the car? It's about £8,000, and the house, £30,000. And how long do we have to save for it? 3 years. Yeah, so we're not gonna have a life. Now, personally for me, when I think about savings, it is not an investment, okay? So I'm not looking to get a huge return on my money. Yes, obviously it would be nice to get a bit of return, you know, because obviously we can see that interest rates are ridiculous at the moment. But for me, that's not my main goal when it comes to saving. So I need something that's going to be liquid, that I can pull cash out at any single time, and that probably won't have lost value if I do, because you'll see that when we talk about investing, it's pretty much for the long term. And if you're liking this content so far, then please do give me a thumbs up, as it really does help to support the channel and it's free. So why would I even want to start investing? Why can't I just save my money? So again, when I'm talking about investing, that's pretty much a long-term strategy for me. Now, when I say long-term, I'm not talking about a year or a few months, for example. I'm talking minimum 5 to 10 years at least. So for example, the goals that you might have for investing are going to be different than the goals you have for saving. So in this instance, investing, you're probably going to be thinking about retirement or financial independence. Now, before I go on, I know that a lot of us are currently maybe young millennials. I just want to say that retirement is important, okay guys? Please do not depend on the government to fund your retirement. So this is something that we need to be thinking about very, very soon, and I mean now basically. So investing should also be on your mind as well as saving. But ideally, when I'm thinking about investing, I'm not thinking about just having my money in the bank and just collecting 0.5% interest. I'm really thinking about actually making my money work for me. Right, so how much are you offering? Yes, we're offering a great deal, 0.75% interest. That is basically pennies. I may as well just invest it. So for example, you can invest in things like the stock market or property or even commodities. And I do have a video talking through how you can actually start investing as a beginner and talking through some of the investment vehicles that you can use. So I will link that up here for you and in the description below. But it's also important and worth noting that investing will have an element of risk. You're not always guaranteed to make money, and sometimes you might even lose money as well. But I don't think that should even stop you from investing, because if you're investing for the long term, then you're able to ride out those short-term swings. And as history has shown us, the stock market or whatever market we're looking at is likely to recover and continue to go up. Now, yes, we can't always guarantee the future based on the past, but it does really give us good guidance. And the one thing I would say is usually you won't actually lose money until you decide to sell, or for example, if you were investing in the stock market and the company that you invested in went bankrupt. So just taking that stock market example, let's say that you were investing in the stock market and you decided to invest in a company's shares, and let's say you bought shares worth about £10. Now, if something happened and there was a massive stock market market crashed and your shares went from £10 to £2, you would only lose money if you then sold at £2. If you decided to keep it and just ride the wave, and let's say during the long term it just started to recover and went back to that £10, then you wouldn't have technically lost money. So I think that's one thing to note, that even though investing will have an element of risk, if you're investing again for the long term, that shouldn't really phase you that much. Plus, with investing, you're likely to get potential better returns than, let's say, if you left it in the bank, for example, because that 0.5% interest is just not great, especially when you're looking at inflation as well, because if inflation is currently at 2% and your bank is giving you 0.5%, in theory you are losing money. Now again, investing does have risks, and that's why I say when you're thinking about investing, it's pretty much for the long term, and ideally you would be using disposable income to invest. So this is money that you won't really need for the next at least 5 years. So technically, if you did lose the money, then it's not going to be a huge detriment to, you know, how you live your life. Okay, now I'm confused. So when is the right time to save or invest? So let me tell you my opinion, and again, it is just my opinion, and also remember that I'm not a financial advisor, so make sure you are doing your own research. So when it comes to savings, for me, it's really anything that I will probably need in the short term, or at least within the next 5 years. Now, there have been arguments about whether you should be saving or investing your emergency fund, for example, but for me, again, I see it as insurance. I don't see it as a way to make money, so I would personally save my emergency fund, because I wouldn't want to get to the point where, let's say I lost my job and then the stock market crashed and I'd invested my emergency fund into the stock market. I would end up having to sell at a loss because I invested that money. Why on earth did I think about investing my emergency fund? It's gone down 20%. And also, when it comes to things like an emergency fund, you wouldn't really want to put it in something like property, because you're going to need it to be liquid, because if something happens, again, if you lost your job, you're going to need that money quite quickly, and it's going to be a bit difficult for you to try and sell that property to get that cash out if that's part of your emergency fund. Whereas if my emergency fund is just in a savings account, yes, it's not getting a lot of interest, that is just something that I have to accept, but I know that it's liquid, it's there. If I need to pull it out quickly, then I can pull it out quickly, and if there's an emergency that happens, you know, the next day or in a couple of days, I know that I just have that money there, and for me, it's just peace of mind that it's all okay. Yes, I might be losing a little bit of money due to inflation, but it's just something that I'll just have to accept, to be honest. But again, for me, emergency funds are pretty much just an insurance, so yeah, I don't need to make money on that. But if you really want to know how you can actually start saving for your emergency fund, I do have a video on that as well, so I will link that in the description below for you. Now, when it comes to things like saving for a house, again, you're probably going to be questioning whether you might want to invest it or if you might want to save for it, and I think it really depends on how long you're going to be saving for, and also your risk tolerance as well. So if you're maybe saving for the next 3 or 4 years, then I would probably just be saving it in a bank account. But let's say it's going to take you 7 to 8 years to save for a house and you're just not ready yet, then potentially you could invest it, but you might want to think about maybe investing it in something that's maybe less risky, I would say. So maybe you might invest in bonds, or you might invest in ETFs, which are maybe slightly less risk. But again, you have to just recognize that the stock market could crash at any time, so you just need to be prepared for that. And if you don't really know what bonds or ETFs are, then don't worry, because Auntie V always has you. I have a video talking through that in more detail and how you can actually start investing as a beginner in the stock market. So I will link that up here for you and in the description below. But if there's anything that you need to save for in the next couple of months, or at least the next few years, then I would probably just be putting that money into the bank account and just saving up for it. Now, if you're really struggling to actually save money as well, I do have a few videos talking through how you can start to save money quickly, so I will of course link that in the description below. Then when it comes to investing, really, if it's anything that's to do with the long term, then I would probably just be investing my money, because for me, saving money is only going to take you so far. So when it comes to really building wealth and being financially independent, it's really difficult for you to just save your way to wealth, especially when you account for inflation. Now again, hear me out, I'm not telling you to start throwing all of your money into the stock market, but there are going to be certain things that you really just want to allocate to your savings, and then there are certain things that you will just want to allocate to your investments, so that you can really start getting your money to work for you. But I really just want to emphasize the importance of investing, because I know a lot of us can be quite scared to invest, and again, I've got videos really talking through how you can start investing, and if you do have any questions, please do let me know, especially if you are a beginner, and I'm happy to help. But really think about, yes, you can start saving money, but also investing is equally important. Again though, remember, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell you what to do, but I can just share my experiences. So always do your research. But if you did like this video, then remember to give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments, are you saving or investing, or are you actually doing both? I do post every Tuesday and Friday, so if you would like to know more, then of course you can subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.